Well, much of the country is having to get used to working from home, and that's been going on for the last few days. But for many workers with children who are being homeschooled, the new reality is trying to juggle the day job whilst ensuring the children are looked after as well. Well, joining from Westminster is Edward Timpson, the former Conservative Minister for Children and Families and in the Department of Education, and of course re-elected as an MP for Eddisbury at the last election. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. What's your advice for families, often in quite small homes, having to deal with several children?
Well, Adam, I have 4 children of my own, all now at home, 3 of them school age, having to learn over the internet. But the most important message, which we can't say enough, is do everything you can to stay at home. And I know for some people this is a huge adjustment, and the thought of all being together for what may be a number of weeks now is one that we're all going to have to try hard to get through. But it doesn't stop the huge importance of making sure that we do our duty on behalf of the whole country and stay at home, if at all possible, and follow the very clear advice that's been given.
What help can the government, and I think the BBC's doing programmes and schools are trying to put stuff online. I mean, it's going to work if you're well connected in terms of IT, but if you're not, you might have a bit of a problem.
That's right. I mean, fortunately, a lot of people are now well connected, and the early signs is that the likes of Zoom and other social media platforms that are being used are working well. But of course, there will be those who don't have that access, or it's not as reliable as it should be. And schools, I know, are working with councils and other agencies to make sure that they can bring some of those materials to children directly, particularly vulnerable children who will still be attending school if they're able to. So we need to make sure those connections are made and that everyone has access to learning, even at this very difficult time.
Do you think it helps if you try and establish a timetable of sorts, say, right, we're going to do lessons now and then we're going to do our exercise period or whatever?
Well, my own view is, I think this is backed up by, I would have thought most teachers, is keeping a routine is really important. I know 2 of my children are following their school timetable for this week, and my wife is pretty good at making sure that they comply with it. But I think just for the whole help that the children are going to need to cope with the circumstances that we're in, having that regular drumbeat of lessons coupled with exercise, but also time to enjoy themselves and socialise with their family is going to be key in making sure that we can get through this in a way which makes sure that their mental health as well as their physical health maintains itself for the weeks that we know lie ahead.
Of course, for older children, those approaching leaving school, there may not be exams this summer, but there's still great uncertainty about their future next year.
There is a lot of worry, and it's perfectly understandable. I've got a son who was due to take his GCSEs this summer, and his initial reaction was he was very upset about the fact that that was now not going to happen. But I think the plans that the government have put in place, along with discussions with Ofqual, with the unions and with the wider teaching fraternity, are the best that we can do in the circumstances where no child will be left shortchanged by what has happened to them through no fault of their own. I think the class of 2020 will probably be looked after very well, and rightly so, but there'll also be an opportunity for them, hopefully later in the year, that if they still want to take those exams and prove what they're capable of, they will have that made available to them. And I think that will help reassure them that all the work that they've done to date, and will continue to do, I hope, over the rest of this term, through the Easter holidays into the summer term, won't be left without any value. It will really help them springboard onto the next part of their education or their training, going into apprenticeships, going on to university, or even into the world of work. So it all matters what they do now, and if parents can help them understand that and keep going with the work that they've got, that they would have been doing at school, I think the country's going to be better off as a result.
Now, I know you're a politician, you're not directly associated with your family business, but Timpson's a very familiar name from the high street, the cobblers, the key cutters. Some people have made a joke about key workers. What are you doing at Timpson's about this shutdown affecting your shops?
Well, you're right, I don't have anything to do with the family business. My brother James and my father John have run that very successfully on their own, but they had to make a difficult decision, which has been backed up by the Prime Minister's statement last night, to close all their branches. But importantly, they've made sure that all their staff are going to receive full pay whilst they're furloughed. And I would encourage any business that can do that to follow suit, because the most important part of any business are the people in it. And they're the people that when we come back and get through this, are going to be needed to get out there and get us back on track.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You're watching Sky News. Lots